Hey guys, Matt from Motors. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can repair a crack on a bumper. As you can see, it's a fairly bad crack. I know the bumper on this car was about maybe $200. We can repair this for about maybe $10. The plastic on these modern bumpers is really thin and it's quite easy to crack them even with the smallest little bit of damage. The first thing you're going to want to do is remove the bumper from the car. You can do this with the bumper in place, but it's a lot easier to work on the bumper from the back, and it's a stronger repair as well. I've just laid out an old mat we have from the house. This has just stopped scratching the bumper on the far side. We can see here we have the crack. I've got a little bit of 120 grit sandpaper. I'm just going to try and remove a lot of the shine off the plastic, because anything we put on here won't stick if the surface is too shiny. Okay, so we got it nicely roughed up. Now we're just going to clean down the plastic. You can use alcohol. I've got a bit of paint thinner and that's what I'm going to use. This is what we're going to be using to repair the crack. This is a two-part epoxy. It's the Gorilla make, but it can be any type of two-part epoxy. And this is just regular bandage that we'd use on a cut. I got this out of a first aid kit. And I'm also going to show you another little trick using, if you've got a cardboard box, if you see these little pins that come with the cardboard box, we're going to pull some of these out and I'm going to show you a little trick just to give the bumper an extra bit of support. I just put a pair of pliers on the bumper just to hold it roughly in shape so we can start to work on the area. This is the pin we pulled out of the cardboard box. You see these in nearly every cardboard box. What we're going to do with this is we're just going to trim it down a little bit in size. Now we'll do this 3 or 4 times over. The next thing we're going to want to do is heat this up somehow to melt into the bumper. I'm going to use a soldering iron, but you can use a cigarette lighter. You can go in and put it on a stove or something if you have a stove light in the house. We just want to heat this up so it'll melt into the plastic and give the bumper more support where the crack is. This is roughly where I want to put the pins. So I'm just going to sand it down with a little bit of sandpaper just to make a little bit of a groove in the bumper. I've just made 2 little grooves where I'm going to be putting in the pins. So now to sit in nicely. Now we're going to need to heat these up somehow. I'm going to use a soldering iron, but even if you had a stove or something like that, or a cigarette lighter, if you hold them on it will heat these up, just so they can melt into the bumper. It takes a few minutes, but once they heat up they'll melt straight into the bumper. As you can see, we've got the supports all melted in. These will help strengthen the bumper up a lot. We can actually remove the pliers there now, and the bumper is joined again. It's super strong. We could even put the bumper back on the car the way it is. These last 3 I just heated up on the heater I have here in the garage just to get them nice and warm, and then I melted them in with the soldering iron. This is an extra step you can do. You don't actually have to do it, but I find it really strengthens up the bumper. But you can just do the mesh and the bandage, which I'm going to show next. This is the epoxy I'm using. It's the Gorilla brand, but you can pretty much use any epoxy that's a 2-part epoxy. This is just regular bandage that you'd use in a first aid kit. Okay, so we've got the bandage laid down with the epoxy on top of it. It says leave it for about 10 minutes, but I'm going to leave this for a couple of hours just to go hard. I've left this for about 3 hours now, guys, and it's rock hard. The bumper is super solid as well. I'm just going to put a little bit of black paint on it just to make it a little bit more pleasing to the eye, and then we'll move on to the next step. I've just put the bumper back on the car just to make it easier to work on. Now we're going to rub this area down with a bit of 120 grit sandpaper. We're going to put some body filler on just to smooth everything out, make everything look good. This is some flexible body filler I've just mixed up. I just got a little bit of 80 grit sandpaper. I'm going to sand up the 80 grit sandpaper, then I'm going to step up to 180 grit sandpaper before I put on the primer. Okay, so we got it all sanded with the 80 grit and the 180 grit sandpaper. Now we're going to take it off the car and put some primer on. Okay, so this is just a high build primer I'm going to be using just to prime the area. Okay, so I put on 3 coats of primer. It's hard now for about maybe an hour, so I'm just going to give it a light rub of 800 grit sandpaper. For this part I'm going to be using a spray gun, but if you want to do it with an aerosol can, I do a full breakdown how to do a professional job with an aerosol can. I'll leave the link on the top of the screen. Okay guys, so I got it all back together. This is where the crack was here. Now it looks really good. If you remember what it was like before, it was quite a huge crack. And this way we've done it, it'll be really strong as well and it won't crack anymore. I hope I helped you guys out and thanks for watching.